after retiring from the agent scene, 007 has returned for the first time in 12 years since the release of the not-so-well-received collection known as 007 Legends. When it was announced that the creators of Hitman would be taking on the James Bond IP, I was very excited because I absolutely adore the Hitman IP, and if anyone could make a great 007 game, it would be them. One of my most anticipated games of the year. It had very big shoes to fill with such a beloved character. Right out the gates, the game hit it out of the park with an iconic 007 opening with a killer first mission and a banger opening song sung by the one and only Lana Del Rey. One of the best-selling James Bond songs. I couldn't help but fall in love immediately. There's just so much to talk about with this game, with how much they cooked. The overall casting was phenomenal, and the voice acting was some of the best performed I have ever seen. Patrick Gibson, better known for his role in Dexter, was a phenomenal choice as James Bond, and I need him in a live-action prequel immediately. All of the supporting cast also did a fantastic job as always, and it's always amazing getting to experience amazing voice acting. The story was also very well done. Set about 20 hours in the game, showing the origins of 007 and James Bond earning the number, it did a very good job of feeling like a James Bond movie, and I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. The villains were very well done, and it was fun seeing Lenny Kravitz as one of them. I won't go too far into spoilers, but the show of tragedy, heartbreak, and badassery that a James Bond movie would have really set the stage for what this game in the series potentially could be. Patrick's performance really shined through, and he made a very, very good first impression for the character. The soundtrack of the game was also an entire bop, and I was amazed with the quality. I keep mentioning it, but I really felt like I was watching a 007 movie, and it hit all of the right cylinders. The atmosphere with the world was also phenomenal, and it was a very gorgeous game through all the levels. It wasn't as much of a sandbox as the Hitman games, but I still loved that it was more of a linear experience. The combat is definitely where the game shined the most. Whereas I kind of misled with the gun blazing comments, you had to wait until the enemy shot first before you could as well. It was very close to nature, but they made it sound like you could just go out shooting. So even though it wasn't that big of a deal, I feel like they should have been more clear on that, but it was still fun. However, the different approaches to the world were also very interesting, even if they were sort of lacking compared to the Hitman games. The bluffing aspect was an amazing addition, and I loved being able to talk my way out of situations. The gadgets were also very fun and led for some very fun moments. When you weren't sneaking around and the gloves came off, the game became very fun. You were no longer 007, you were John Wick Bond, showing straight hands and taking names. The combat in the game was so much fun I'd ever experienced. From just beating the crap out of enemies, to throwing weapons that you had run out of ammo for, vaulting over counters and kicking into enemies, smashing enemies into walls and explosives. It felt so over the top, felt paced. I couldn't help but fall in love with it immediately. Sometimes you just couldn't help being seen if you got to dish out the most insane beatdowns, and I fell in love with the combat immediately. The characters were also so memorable, and it really felt like they grew on you and had such great character development. Even as a non-canon approach to the characters, it was fun getting to see Moneypenny, Q, and M again in prequel form and glow alongside them. With the overall success of 007 First Light and them reaching 2.7 million copies in the first week, and now grossing 3 million copies currently, 101 Interactive has deemed it a smashing success, and the final words of the game saying, "James Bond will return," is clear that it will be turning this into a masterpiece of a series. They've already discussed the possibility of it being a publishing trilogy, with Amazon coming on as a new publisher. I can see this becoming so much more than just one game, and I really need it to come back ASAP. With the announcement of the first story DLC so quick after the first release, I feel like this could definitely be a game supported for years to come. 007 First Light is a masterpiece through and through, And if it wasn't for some of the other greats like Lego Batman and Resident Evil 9 releasing, it would have easily been my game of the year. But it is still a smashing great time and a must play for any James Bond fan or any fan of the action-adventure genre, and you should experience this origin story as soon as you can. To give this any less than a 10 out of 10 would be a disservice, so I have to give it the highest score that I can give it. 007 First Light is on PS5, Xbox Series X, Switch 2, and PC, and it is 100% worth playing. If you enjoyed this review and you want to see more like it, please consider subscribing for even more awesome gaming content.